think we can go with that.
It's like, yeah, so fucking Nick, you found this goddamn tweet or news article.
Yeah, the Guardian just doing normal stuff as always.
Yeah. What was their exact wording of it?
That Jean-Claude Juncker, what is he, the head of the
European Commission president?
Yeah. Given you brought this up when we were talking before that it's like English is like his fourth language.
Yeah.
So maybe some level of forgiveness, but
he's real horny for French.
yeah. Well, it is his first language. So.
No, it's not. He's just real horny for French.
Oh, okay. Well, then he's also just real horny for Europe then too,
Mm.
because his word that he used to describe why Europe is just not doing so well is that Europe has lost its libido for what other Europeans?
Europeans have lost their libido for each other.
Yeah. Europeans don't want to bust for each other no more.
I mean, that could be one way to describe resurgent nationalism.
Yeah, the one thing that they're continuously going on about is that they do not want you to bust unless it is in the fertile womb of a nice other white woman. All other types of busting, not allowed.
Yeah.
So maybe this is Junker's way of going and saying, hey, white nationalism is not the only way to bust. We should all bust collectively with one another.
Give them Interrail tickets when they're 18.
We need to nationalize busting.
But it's funny you bring up the Interrail because I do think this goes even deeper than just some comment about libido. Like,
oh, does it go deeper, you say?
I mean...
Say deeper, slower. Say it slower. Quieter.
Nick, make this even slower in post. It goes even deeper.
No, you can't do the slow voice.
Yeah.
If you want.
It'll be even slower.
No, because I'm going to fucking
Come
just like
on.
chop
Put
and
some-
screw your ass.
Put some sexiness in that.
Yeah, that was just not sexy either.
Yeah,
Rob.
seriously.
I have
Rob.
one of... Okay, this isn't a sexy topic. I have one of my analogies for you.
You're saying busting across European lines?
I wish it was.
Everything Juncker does is an inherently sexy topic. The fucking wine drunk bastard.
This brings me to another one of my analogies. I haven't been able to share them many on the pod because of big editing silencing me.
Yeah.
Certain cabal of Greeks who run all podcast production.
What do you got a problem with my skills?
So
Yeah.
for me,
No comment.
Let's move on.
so Erasmus is like Birthright, but for Europe. I think everyone's aware of Birthright with Israel,
Yeah.
where they basically, the idea behind it is that they pay for Jewish people from around the world to go on a vacation to Israel. And this is all part of a project to like manufacture support and approval for their, apartheid nation. And the way they do that is not just going on vacation, but that the kids, that's like they're on summer camp, they have sex with each other, they hire prostitutes in Israel, and they're like, that was such a great time. Like, I love Israel, and everything they do is infallible. And
Who's
Erasmus,
the camp counselor, like Yair Netanyahu or something? Like, that's exactly what that sounds like.
yeah. But Erasmus is basically the same exact thing for Europe, and like they don't even try to hide it. Like the EU wants the same exact thing to happen. They want like students. For people who don't know, Erasmus is just the study abroad within Europe, but it's fully funded or almost fully funded for EU students.
Yeah.
So
Well, you get a certain amount of
you can
money.
go study elsewhere in Europe for free.
400.
And
wow.
okay.
Yeah, you get around like 400. It depends on which country you go, because it depends on the living costs, and but you get a certain amount of money, and it's easy to get into those universities.
But like anyone who's went on Erasmus, anything listening to me, it's not very educational. Like,
oh no, oh no,
it is just a party. And I was thinking, okay, well, why do they why do they continue this funding? It's because this is the whole point. Like, in the same way that like going on Birthright is like, man, I love Israel, and anything they do must be cool because I had fun there once. Like the EU does the same thing with Erasmus because they go to a party once, like they get a hand job at a foam party, and they're like, this is what makes Europe great. Like anything Europe does, this must be worth it.
I mean, this all sounds incredibly true to me. I don't know what point you're making.
But it's funny because
Europe is hand jobs.
literally like European political scientists literally say, like, they have that David Brooks mindset. So obviously they're German, like, political scientists, where they say, in 20 years we're going to have a new generation of leaders who are, who think more broadly Like,
Yeah, that's because
they're not
they-
limited to just their one country because they've experienced Erasmus.
Oh yeah, or they're made by like 2 Erasmus students, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a new
yeah.
generation.
They use
It's
that.
a big mix-up with the Europeans.
They used that as a statistic to get more funding for the Erasmus program. That it was like this results in more like the fucking stupid European equivalent of like a mixed race baby. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, an Italian and a Polish person had a baby. How strange!
But like,
Oh, seriously?
Give us more money, please.
I have seen a video lately. They put out a video that was, I don't know, it was a French woman and an Italian husband, and they have been
That's
together.
like the most
for,
normal
yeah, definitely.
cross section of Europeans.
They've been together for so many years, and then they tell you how the borders like kept them.
Our grandparents both fought
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
This video's target audience is people who still believe in like 1930s race science.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what's so funny to me
Exactly.
is that this idea that you are developing leaders from this Erasmus program, when really all that's going to happen is it's the like vast pool of like, I don't know, some like somewhat well-educated like voters who are going to be like continuing the EU project because they're like, yeah, it seems like they're really like screwing over Spain. Like they're just like, it's like a semi-colonial situation. But you know, one time I
Wait, what?
grinded with a Spanish girl while Danza Kuduro played. So you know, who's to say whether the EU is good or bad?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Corner Späti. We got a full house today, or a full Späti, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm Nick, joined by Yulia,
Hi.
Kieran,
Hello.
Rob,
What's up?
and we have a special guest today. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you. I'm
He's-
glad to be here.
Yay.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you here, our first
Applause.
guest. You get to take the crown for yourself, and I don't know what you want to do with it. Like, we can give you free beer.
You get 2 beers I bought.
Ian won
Look
the.
at
I'll
you.
take those.
Not 2 more. You've already had 1.5. Just those 2, please.
Ian, we don't have like a fuck a fan contest, but Ian won our join our polycule contest. So, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here.
In a year's time, we will have like a hottest guest competition. You have signed away your rights to be just aggressively objectified by our following of 3 people on Twitter.
Yay.
Only some of them are into sugar daddy stuff. Oh god damn it! I'm not going to explain that. It's enough.
Kieran, do you want to introduce Ian to the rest of our six followers?
For the 6 people listening out there, 3 of which are in America. Why are you listening to this? I'm a stand-up comedian here in Berlin, and I'm also friends with other stand-up comedians. One of which is Ian. That's it. You're really funny, and I like you as a person.
Okay.
That's why you're on this podcast.
Thanks. I think that's a good sign, yeah.
I mean, yeah. Wait until we bring on my frenemies. A gallery of rogues there. I'll just bring them on to fucking drag them. I just hijack the whole podcast. Just like one person I don't like being like, so why you shit?
Yeah, Ian, why are you shit?
Surprise, it was you.
Don't know, it's yeah, I think it's something I grew up with.
Oh, okay. My father was shit. It's the whole lineage thing. I inherited the business. All right. So before we get into our main topic of just like explaining to our audience Die Linke and Aufstehen, Die Linke, that thing that's been around for a generation, and Aufstehen, that thing that was around for several generations of gatflies. Kieran has a new fucking game. We're going to do games on this show now.
Yay.
Woo!
Yeah.
Can we have like theme music for this game?
That's really down to you.
Well, no,
Yeah.
you're the one who do.
Oh, I
fucking-
make music.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you can make game show music for this, I will put it in every
Oh,
time
yeah.
that we do
Oh
this.
shit! I
Like
might
some,
just
like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire bullshit. Like I really want that.
link you to like a feminist punk band I found from Bristol. Is
That's
that
cool. As
Cool.
long as they have game show music, then
I don't
My
think
favorite game show music.
they have a song called "Don't Fucking Touch Me." Oh, they're called petrol girls. They're real good.
They sound cool.
Yeah, they
That
are
is
real
what these
cool.
rich people would say to literally anybody within like a 10-foot radius of them.
Oh, yeah, they overlap between like women with actually very good politics and like coddled rich kid children. Like, don't touch me.
Do you know who my dad is?
All right, so for the purpose of this video game, people sitting beside me cannot look at my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to explain this game to people, which is I found the richest person in every European country, and I'm going by Eurovision UEFA rules. So, the South Caucasus, Kazakhstan, and Turkey are in this.
Nice.
All right,
Nice.
okay. They're
Israel
contenders.
too? Yeah.
No, not Israel and Australia. They're
Australia,
only in Eurovision because they don't get on with their
but
actual
but
neighbors.
I thought you said UEFA rules. Israel's part of UEFA.
God damn. Okay, I'll add Israel later.
Good.
We're only doing one for tonight, and I guess I've given it away. It's not Israel.
Yes.
So the point of this is I'm going to tell you this person's net worth, the industry they're in, and like 3 kind of factlets or like pieces of information about them, and you guys have to guess where they are from or like who they are if you can figure out that much. All right.
All right, I'm ready. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to win.
I like to say I respect my competition, and I'm here to have a good time.
You guys are doing like all the Bachelorette tropes right now. It's great. All right. So net worth $5.5 billion US.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not that much.
I've seen more. All right. Made their money. Industries they're involved in: metals, banking, buying and selling businesses, hotels, and drugstores. All right.
And drugs.
Okay.
And drugstores, pharmacies. Not. All right. Piece of information number 1. This is kind of into like his business history. Got his start with bringing push-button telephones into the country. He quickly bought property and national services during a period of privatization.
Guess it has to be Eastern Europe then.
Okay. Via a bank he co-founded.
Oh, okay. Normal things.
Yeah. The bank failed spectacularly in 2015 and was the 5th most costly bank bailout in the country.
This is great because in Eastern Europe, you can just have a bank that fails spectacularly. But if you were just like knew the right people at the right time in 1990, you would just be like, either like, you want to be a billionaire? They're like, yeah, all right, I guess so. I can sign my name on some things. I can wear a suit and walk around.
All right, and number 3.
No, accounting. This is all the same fact.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
this is
Okay.
accounting for inflation and currency conversion. The bank bailout was about $1 billion. At the height of his wealth, he was worth equal to 1/3 of his nation's GDP.
Okay.
It was revealed in the Panama Papers that he has a front company in the British Virgin Islands called Boschiter Overseas Company. Boschiter.
What?
That's not a real word. I swear to God, I looked it up in his native language. It's not a real word. All right. But he's using this money for something good.
Oh.
He commissioned a world-famous Japanese architect to build a business center in the capital city with a guest house, multifunctional hall, a large and small conference hall, a gym, a swimming pool, a dance hall, and an indoor tennis court.
God, Eastern Europeans are so fucking cool.
Okay, but hang on. Here's the pimp move. Oops, years later, it's actually his house. It's not actually a public business center. It's just his house.
Eastern European oligarchs fucking know how to do it.
Yeah.
There is, like, libertarians say that the market is not the way of doing things. No, clearly not. When you're an Eastern European oligarch with no regulations for anything whatsoever, it's cool. Like, it's pimp. Like, you know what? I'm leaving the pod. I am now a libertarian, but only in Georgia or wherever the fuck this guy is from.
All right.
You know what's not cool? $1 million. You know what is cool? Doing Zumba on the 5th floor of your private hotel in your personal gym.
All right. I think since Ian's our guest, he should be the first to go.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. No, fact number 2.
Oh, wait, that's number
That
one.
was number
Oh,
one.
that was only
yeah.
number one.
Maybe I
Okay.
shouldn't call these facts, but these are just like little aspects of their
Blurbs.
lives.
Anecdotes.
Yeah. Fact number 2. He founded a political party,
Okay.
became prime minister,
Of course, everyone.
and didn't dissociate from all of his private holdings, naturally
Well,
enough.
that could be every Eastern European country.
Again, Eastern Europe, doing it right.
He's still under investigation for using his businesses to illegally fund his party and reach electoral goals, and was once fined $90 million for bribing voters.
I wonder what bribing voters in Eastern Europe is like.
Here's a bag of rice.
You want some nachleb?
You can do Zumba in my
Everyone
house.
gets kwassen.
Every voter gets to Zumba.
He is no longer the leader of this party, but still holds significant sway. One political scientist said of him, he is outside democratic control, outside institutional checks and balances, yet he is ultimately calling the shots, which puts his home country in a vulnerable position both vis-a-vis democracy and foreign policy. That was fact number 2.
Okay, still sounds cool.
Yeah. Fact number 3. He married his wife when she was 19 and he was 35. One of his 3 beautiful albino sons.
Wait, what?
What?
Let me finish the sentence.
He has 3 albino sons?
Okay, he had 3 sons. 2 of them were albino.
That's not bad. That's an impressive albino.
That's pretty good. One of his 3 beautiful albino sons is a nationally famous rapper who had a particular hit song that put him on the map. The rapping son named his studio after the song, and his dad, again, the richest man in the country, was inspired so much by his song that he named the political party after the song's title.
Whoa.
That's
Alright.
beautiful. Like,
Wow.
Oh my
That's
god.
wow, I wish my dad would name his political party after my rap song.
God damn, I just love this fucking like just Eastern like one part's like just Eastern European oligarch energy, the other part's also like Baba energy. Just
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
son, like you're my fucking pride
Love
and
that
joy.
song.
Like everything you do is beautiful. Like I'll do everything for you. I'll name a political party after you.
You're so much better than my other albino son.
Yeah, but in terms of like what is it, albinism? What's the thing called? Like he's like the Ted Williams of like producing albino children.
Yo, have you guys heard my dad just started a new business? It's the Corner Späti Subaru dealership of Greater Boston. I love you, Dad.
All right, I agree. Ian, you're first to guess the country.
Azerbaijan?
Azerbaijan? All right.
No, that's not enough money to be Azerbaijan.
All right.
I have a guess.
And it would be oil. Like, come on, Ian, you're fucking up. I'm trying to help him here.
Based on my knowledge of Eastern European rap, I'm going to go with Estonia.
All right. What do you guys say?
I'm going Georgia. I said Georgia earlier as a joke, but what is it? 5.5 billion,
Mhm.
and it was like banking and shit, right?
Yeah.
Georgia doesn't have like good old natural resources that can get you a bunch of dinero real quick, right? Like an Azerbaijan or.
But I was also debating Georgia, but I don't know. I mean, says
All
the
right.
one.
Georgia, final answer for Nick.
Says the one studying Eastern European
All right.
studies.
Yulia, come on. What do you
Julia
think?
just found her like
Oh.
doctoral dissertation.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I'm already
This
doing a class on
This guy's beautiful albino son and his rapping. He is actually, despite being albino, he is swole. He's got a model girlfriend, and it is well deserved. He is a pretty boy.
Good.
Yeah,
Proud of him.
that's why I wrote the word beautiful.
Good.
I have a small crush on this rapper of nationality. I was about to
You
say.
have to show this music later.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, I'm going with something else then.
Okay.
If you do Georgia, because I think it's not Georgia. But I'm
Okay,
not sure.
go. What do you
Like,
think?
Wait, does Georgia count
Kazakhstan?
in your Europe?
Yeah, Southern
Okay.
Caucasus. Yeah.
Saying like something Caucasus, Kazakhstan. I don't know. Does that count?
Kazakhstan's in
Yeah.
the running here. Okay, you saying Kazakhstan?
Yeah.
Okay. And the correct answer was Nick. It is Georgia.
It is Georgia. Shit. I thought about that. Shit.
Bedzina Ivanishvili.
Oh yeah.
Do you know who this is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the former leader and prime minister under the Georgian Dream Party,
Yeah.
named for his son's rap song "Georgian Dream."
Wow.
Look, he was fucking talking about the state of Georgia too, not even the country.
Georgian Dream. Can we back up for a second?
Yeah.
I really want to hear the song Georgian Dream.
Me too.
Because that sounds to me just like
Georgian Dream.
I have the
uses a
YouTube
lot
link.
of auto tune,
I need
and
it.
it's just really bad. But everyone
Does
listens to
Does
it.
it have cars?
So, also, I want to mention
The
that
video.
the company that he's involved in was a thing called Ruskia Credit, which was a Russian bank that he co-founded. And then when he became president, he just basically got rid of all of his like Russian companies, but not any of the Georgian ones.
Cool. Yeah.
And then his entire presidency was defined by renormalizing relationships with Russia.
Cool. So far, Nick is one for whatever. Whatever.
Well, that was the first Mega Riga competition.
So far, Nick's batting 1,000. We're cool with that. You know, I'm your soon-to-be champion. I got one right. I'm way too cocky.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to future ones. They were all monsters. It's great. I've found so much fucking shit.
Does it get better the further east you go?
Georgia's pretty far fucking... I haven't investigated the Kazakhstani guy, but...
Oh yeah.
Okay, there we go. I've got a nod of approval from you, yeah. It gets buck wild in Kazakhstan.
I'm imagining, though, that like Turkmenistan is just going to be the president who then also made a music video of himself the
Oh
other
yeah,
day.
I love that video. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's
Is he
about
playing
his
guitar
horse.
in it or what?
Yeah, he's playing guitar, and he has that guy that plays keyboard, and he looks at him like he's really in love with him,
I'm
or
in
he
love
really
with him,
respects
too.
his president.
Well,
it's
love,
about his
respect,
horse.
what's the difference?
It's a song about his horse.
Is it literally... Oh, jeez, that's a
I
whole
listen to that.
episode
It's called
podcast.
Old Town Road. I play it all the time.
Probably. It's a lovely song. You should all listen to it.
I was going to make a My Lovely Horse joke, but then I realized no one in the room is Irish except for me. It's like,
My Little
Wait.
Pony. I'm just going to leave that there. Sadly, we're not here to talk about Spargel for an hour. We're here to talk about another topic close to Germans' hearts, Die Linke. I guess we should give just the basics. So if people don't know, there are currently 6 parties in Germany.
Currently in parliament. There are
Currently
far
in
more.
parliament.
Yeah.
True, there are more.
There are far cooler parties who are not in parliament.
But insofar, like, when Die Linke came on the scene, then Germany was redefined as like a 5-party government, and now I guess there's 6 because AfD is everywhere. But we have the SPD, the center-left party, the CDU, the center-right party, which is partnered with CSU. You have AfD, who are the far-right. Yeah, everyone.
Dipshits.
Yeah.
Listen to our episode about that.
Weisspargel.
You have the Greens.
Those guys.
Who are the Greens? Who are the Grünspargel?
the Greens are fucking... the best definition I've still heard is like Multrenung FDP.
Yeah, that's accurate.
The FDP who sorts the rubbish.
Yeah.
You have the FDP and our daddy Lindner, who...
The Greens who don't sort the rubbish. Look at the circular definition I've come up with.
And then, like most European countries, there is a principled left opposition, or maybe not so principled. We're gonna find out.
Just a wild and out fucking.
So,
What? The left-wing party from my country are terrorists. So let's go.
well, a lot of people think Die Linke are terrorists. If only they were that cool. So we have to go back through the history of Die Linke, because for people who don't know, Germany used to be split into 2.
Yep.
There was West Germany and East Germany.
History hour with Rob.
Nice.
And when basically Die Linke, there's a continuous line from the former SED, the ruling party of the DDR, into basically after the Wende. That party was in disarray, as you can imagine. And after several shuffles at the end of 1989, beginning of 1990, they became the PDS, Party of Democratic Socialism, because they're like, all right, this whole Stalinist thing isn't working out. Now we're
Exactly,
Democratic Socialists, that buzzword
Yeah.
everyone knows and loves.
They did it first.
Yeah, true.
Or-
Yeah.
Earlier than the Yanks.
Listen here, Bernie.
Michael Harrington in the U.S. was like, I'm also a Stalinist. I'll just call DSA Democratic Socialists of America, so no one knows I'm secretly a Stalinist.
Dope,
Yes.
Great idea.
dope Stalinists of America just did not roll off the tongue as easily.
So it was the PDS, and I think in their first election they were pretty trounced by whatever. Yeah, the CDU and the SPD re-entered East German politics after however many years.
They were in East German
No,
politics,
but-
though, to begin with, to be fair.
They actually gained a lot of momentum in the new Bundesländer, the new states.
The new states,
Yeah. I mean, they still had support a lot, or like from. Is that what you said, or did I misunderstood you?
No.
I sent you-
I said they came back to East German politics after being away because the SED ran everything. But you're saying they had some support
Yeah, they had.
throughout East Germany.
Yeah, they did, definitely. There were a lot of people who were like still looking for what are we supposed to do after living in the GDR, and they had a lot of support in Eastern
Yeah,
Europe.
and again, I think back to something that
Eastern Germany.
to something that we've talked about before, very briefly on the pod, is that the 1990s, everything's up in the air, end of history, all that, but the collective feeling, I think, of most East Germans about East Germany isn't as negative as we like to pretend it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that isn't like as surprising if you kind of like look at it for what it was, especially just how shit the 90s was for East Germany.
The statistics, because that's what Kieran does, he remembers these fucking numbers, is 57% of people born into the GDR or DDR like want to return to it, want the DDR to exist again. And
For like very good, very, very, very good reasons.
yeah, like East Germany has been turned to shit. But the thing is, like, that's probably the most interesting statistic, because you also get like a lot of people who are born into like, who are now living in Russia, who are born into the USSR, who are like, yeah, it'd be cool if that was back, but it's hard to separate that from, it was nice when we were a world power and it was nice when we had bigger borders, but at least you can not say that about the DDR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
They were
like, it was
neither.
nice when homelessness wasn't really a thing and that I could fucking
Yeah.
get food.
No, and
Although
Like-
it was, God, I saw a recipe for fucking, what is it, Jaeger Schnitzel?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, God damn it. It's like a cross section of sausage that they deep fried with like a horrible ketchup sauce.
There's
What the
onions in it.
What the fuck is that?
My mom loved that.
It looks disgusting.
Jägerschnitzel isn't an East German thing, though.
Is it not?
No, it's like a
It's a
German.
German
Yeah.
thing.
I fucking hate this country.
Yeah, you don't have to have terrible food to have, like, you don't have to been from East Germany to have terrible food.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
All right.
My Western propaganda has been removed.
So they get pretty trounced in the 1990 elections. I think they get 2.4%.
Mm-hmm.
But Gregor Gysi, if you haven't heard of him, he's probably the biggest face of. He's still one of the biggest faces in Die Linke, but he was the biggest face from 1990 until maybe 10-ish years ago. He was directly elected from Berlin and the head seats in parliament. The next election is 4 years later, 1994. Apparently, there was an aggressive Red Sox campaign from the CDU. So even though the
Did Die Linke get Daisuke Matsuzaka?
Oh no, they're talking about American sports again.
Daisuke Matsuzaka,
Fucking
like
Yanks.
democratic socialism, is the promise of like he can do everything. It's everything you ever wanted, but not Stalinism. And then it turns out to be shit. Then yeah, it is like Daisuke Matsuzaka.
Yo, the fucking just gyro ball that Die Linke had. Sorry, I'll stop with American sports.
Yeah. But there was an aggressive red baiting anti-communist campaign from the CDU saying like, the PDS who say they're all nice and democratic socialists now, they're still Stalinists.
Yeah.
This is going to be a recurring theme. I mean, this was just 5 years after the reunification of Germany. So I understand that this is maybe an easy political route. They're still going on about this. Widespread as recently as 5-10 years ago, but they gain a few more seats. I think 1998, not that much exciting happens. We're going to skip forward until 2005, when times were good in Germany.
Yeah.
What was the top song on the Billboard charts in 2005? Kieran, look it up now.
It was
It was probably Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. Get Low or
Get
something.
Low.
Like that.
it was fucking Kedvita's Bidzina's fucking Beautiful Albanians albino song
From the
in the charts
Zalem
again with George and Dream. Actually, that probably was 2005.
to the Aussie. My Spargo grow.
Yeah, you could get a mortgage off the side of the street. 2005.
Well,
Gossip Girl.
what happened most importantly, what happened in 2005 is that was the government of the SPD and Greens had finally been running Germany. And if you don't know much about post-war German history, that's pretty rare. I mean, it was the first time the SPD and Greens had been together. The SPD was under Willy Brandt, and any other time they never ran Germany again since 1945.
Yeah,
like, it was
that's true.
absolutely dominated by the CSU and the CDU, Merkel's party.
Wait, so you're saying that then there was a country in Germany that had one party that controlled everything?
Yeah, for a long time. And they slowly, like gained more and more control over Europe.
Hang on.
Wait.
Wait, which year are we?
We are living in the future we always dreamed of.
Damn it, Mook guy. Sometimes CDU wins.
Sometimes the good people win. Sometimes
But-
Macron wins.
What did the SPD and Greens do when they finally get into power after years in the wilderness?
They fucked.
Gerhard Schröder goes beast mode on the welfare state.
Oh, yeah.
Skirt.
And no matter, even though it was terrible, beaten down, end of history time, there was enough movement that a left-wing faction of SPD, which consisted of trade unionists, a lot of the like young students, intelligentsia, kind of a hodgepodge, broke off from the SPD. They formed their own. It was called the Alternative something.
WASG. Yeah.
Yeah, WASG. But they were that's for Arbeit and social justice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Soziale Gerechtigkeit. Yeah.
And the key point here is that in 2005, they teamed up with the PDS and decided to run together. So they weren't a party yet. They would become Die Linke. Spoiler. But in 2005, that's when, for all intents and purposes, Die Linke was basically born, because these two groups were running together. And what's crucial about that is because Die Linke has been doing okay. They were in parliament, but just almost entirely in the former East Germany. And then adding the WASG to PDS kind of gave what would become Die Linke a social basis in the former West Germany.
Well, one of the important points here is that Oscar Lafontaine, who actually was head of the party.
Oh, we're going to talk about Oscar Lafontaine.
Okay. Yeah, I still finish this point. Made the promise to join WASG, so Alternative für soziale Gerechtigkeit.
Jesus
And
Christ.
yeah.
Fucking work on your branding, lads.
And only then they said, okay, if you're gonna join them, but only if we have a coalition and we run together with a PDS. So actually, that was a crucial point, that someone from Gerhard Schröder's SPD said, okay, no, we're not dealing with this shit here, what you're doing. So yeah, continue, Rob.
Yeah, Oscar Lafontaine is a messy bitch, which we're going to get
yeah.
into. He loves to post online.
We love it.
There's not that much, at least in terms of history, that I want to hit on. I mean, in 2009, so the next election was was the best results in Die Linke's history. That was the first where they're actually Die Linke. In 2011, I don't remember the exact year, but they have a platform that comes out one of these years that is a pretty left-wing platform. When you hear that Die Linke, their platform is for open borders and things like that, no matter what Sarah Wagenknecht goes on TV and says, that's...
Oh, we're getting to that.
We're getting there. That refers to this time around 2011 when this new platform was made. In 2012, the leaders of the party became Katja Kipping and...
Rexinger?
Yeah, Rexinger, Bernd. Rexinger.
Then the
Who I think
apocalypse
are
happened.
considered more... Oh, it's complicated. I would consider them more left-wing than Oscar Lafontaine and Sarah Wagenknecht.
Sarah Wagenknecht and Oscar Lafontaine are like the old guard
Yeah.
of bizarre
They're the old guard,
East
but
German
then
leftism.
it's also true that with Die Linke, they're considered the left wing being attacked by the right wing, more capitalist forces.
Because Sarah Wagenknecht has said some things that have made people have that impression. Although
That
she's
she's
very,
a Stalinist.
she's a Stalinist sometimes. You know, when the wind's
From time
blowing
to
right,
time.
you know, she'll say
tanking.
some pretty cool stuff.
All right, so can new goal for the podcast: get Zara Wagenknecht to call us revisionists.
Yes, please.
It's like,
Yeah,
call
cool.
us out, corner Späti, revisionists. They're Trotskyists. They're trying to destroy me.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have to move to Mexico. Like, it'll be cool.
yeah.
Oh, that actually, I do really want to try all that Lebanese Mexican food. That sounds real good.
I'm down. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
that's-
mean,
that's-
Zara Wagenknecht, call us out. Let's move to Mexico.
I've moved countries for dumber reasons. Let's go.
Zavakinesh, please clap, drag, clap, us, clap.
We are thirsty for clout. We are chasing clout. We are doing it. No one. People said I couldn't be an English-speaking FTP fucking reply guy, but I showed them. That's my new goal for this month.
So that little history basically brings us to Die Linke today.
Yeah.
And I don't know where we want to start with this. Well, I don't actually know which year exactly Zara Wagenknecht becomes the leader.
It doesn't matter because she's here. Well, she was
Yeah.
here.
Well, what we should clarify is that Katja Kipping and Heitzinger are the leaders of the
Heitzinger.
party, and Zara Wagenknecht and Oscar Lafontaine
Yeah.
are co-leaders of the parliamentary party.
And in love.
And in love.
And they're married, we should point out. So, but they got married in 2014. Like they were.
Yeah.
Oscar Lafontaine is what 20 years older and
A pimp.
yeah. looking very smooth and shiny
Yeah.
and old.
Do they meet on the job or how did
I
that
think so.
work?
They met on the
Okay.
job and they were like they completed each other's sentences.
They were like,
"I love Stalin."
Hello.
I
Borders.
hate.
See, you know,
Refugees.
the more left-wing racism you do, like, the likelier you are of meeting your significant other.
The key here, and this is somewhat of an oversimplification, but there's
Going into
roughly
that
a fight or a struggle within Die Linke between. They've been called before. I would say Wagenknecht, especially since they're the parliamentary leaders, they see themselves as the more practical side of the party. That they're actually going out and engaging with people, and they think they're like attracting new voters and getting voters that they're losing to the AfD, especially in recent years. Whereas this other side, the platform side, are purists, leftist purists.
Yeah,
It's
And I-
interesting because it's actually like it's a big mess because you have the more pragmatic side of the party that is the eastern, more like Eastern Germany side of the party, and you have the faction that zumindest at least in the or the German at least in the beginning of the party were more fundamentalist, like a radical West German leftist, because you had actually a left, like people who were already involved in like in governing in the GDR, so they're seen to be more pragmatic. But at the other side, you also have Zara Wagenknecht and Oscar Lafontaine to be seen as more like fundamentalist at the same time, in comparison to the others who are seen to be more like reformist or more social democratic. So it's a big mess. Like these factions are fighting, and they're fighting on different fronts.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just like, to be fair, to look at Die Linke, you also have to look at a group like DSA is a pretty good example, I'd say, because within Die Linke you have multiple factions of groups trying to push it one way or the other. Like you have like the caucuses in DSA, you know, like for like American listeners, I don't know, like an easier way to put it. And like Die Linke also has like a communist caucus. They also have an anti-fascist caucus. They like of typically younger people as well, trying to then redirect the party into a direction that then could be the future of it. But it is like we were joking about this earlier, that Die Linke is old. Like they are a bunch of old ass motherfuckers running trying to run a progressive new left-wing party, and it's not working very well, to be fair.
Yeah, so I think this gets into, I want to point out a few differences that maybe in the ways Die Linke is different than other, because like I said at the beginning, almost every European country has their left-wing opposition, and I want to go through the ways that Die Linke is okay, not every, but it's
I'll
something
I'll
I see.
go off later.
but like it exists, you know. I'm
Yeah,
talking from the American
sure,
perspective.
yeah.
Like But Die Linke is a little different for a few different reasons. One reason I want to point out is what Nick just brought up. There is a communist caucus. There is a socialist left caucus. There's another one. And they've all been monitored by the Verfassungsschutz, basically the German FBI, since their creation. Like the fact that the Verfassungsschutz monitors Die Linke, so it's complicated. They don't monitor the whole party because they're like, yeah, we looked at this party and they're not they're not a threat to German democracy. They're not a threat to overthrow the like German constitution. And it's like, yeah,
Sure.
If I were against Die Linke, I'd be like, well, look right there, like your enemies are telling you you're not a threat to the system. But I understand. You can only do so much. But within Die Linke, dozens of members of Die Linke in parliament are monitored by the Verfassungsschutz because they're like left-wing radicals, including on the national level, like Germany just loves all excuses to protect their constitution at all different levels. So on the national level, the party isn't monitored, but several caucuses are and members are. On the state level, the party is monitored by the state Verfassungsschutz. Even the state, like this, I think the Thüringen Verfassungsschutz monitored Die Linke, and then Die Linke became the government in Thüringen. So it's like you have this ridiculous situation where literally like a version of the deep state is like looking at this like these basic ass. Okay, to back up. They may have Stalinists, but their proposals are just to have like a minimum wage in Germany, like these basic social democratic things. And the rest of Germany, going back to 1994 and this Red Sox red baiting, they freak the fuck out. Like East Germany's back, they're taking over. Like about anything Die Linke says or does, completely out of proportion to what they might actually argue for.
I really like the idea that like the Thüringer branch of like the Verfassungsschutz is like, all right, we're monitoring them. They're not a threat yet. They control the government. Not a threat yet.
Well, okay.
It's
funny you bring it up because the head of the minister, the person who runs the government in Thüringen, the state president, Bodo Ramelow, was one of these Die Linke politicians who's been monitored by the Verfassungsschutz for years. And then he was monitored, and then they said they stopped in 1996. And then when he got into government, since he's the like minister president of the state of Thüringen, he looks into the files and they're like, man, you've been monitoring me for like 15 years longer than you said you have. And he sued them. Okay, so we have a situation where the minister, the basically the governor of this state, so the person who runs the state, is suing the like FBI of the state. And what does the court say? Even though it's completely illegal, like you have to say you're monitoring them if you are. What did the court say? They said it was legal because Die Linke like had a suspicion of being against the Constitution. So just being suspicious that maybe this group could be against the Constitution, you're authorized to still surveil them. The fact, I don't want to be like, because that's what the liberals do, overstate the power of the Verfassungsschutz and say they're going to take down the AfD. We have the Verfassungsschutz to protect us. No. But it's an example of what German politics is. And there's a huge structural aspect that is fundamentally like, if you're changing our constitution, you are a threat. You are a terrorist to our country. Like, and that goes through social democrats.
Die Linke is a country.
Basically. Like, that goes through the whole history of Die Linke that you have to remember. So I'm giving them a little credit on that point. The other point I want to bring up is what Nick mentioned earlier. They're really fucking old. There's a lot of old East German Stalinists and other people in the party. But I think
they're not the worst though.
They're not all Stalinists.
Yeah, they're not. First off, they're not all Stalinists. They're to be fair, of the people who aren't the heads of the party who are Stalinists, I would rather have them be members of Die Linke than have them be members of the AfD. Like there is like in the sense of Germany, like you do have to, I feel, not have a purist left perspective about it, because you have an old guard, as you corrected me on the term earlier, that you can work with. Like there are a bunch of just older people from East Germany who want to, I think they're mostly from East Germany, that understand that these are the things that are bad. Their praxis is maybe a little bit off. They may have a little bit of, to say the least, they're a little like little problematic when it comes to like, you know, racism and shit like that. But nonetheless, they're still left wing, and there's still a group of people that I think are much easier to then get stuff like, you know, you can make these people anti-racist. I think you can't make the AFD anti-racist.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I think that they're open to it too. To be fair, I mean, from the people that I've met here who are, you know, from East Germany, that are maybe a little bit older, who were born there and whatnot, like who are left wing. They're not lost, and they're not like confused of like, oh no, what's going on. They're very much aware that capitalism is the problem because of what they grew up with. The reaction's a little bit, you know, off and confused to some degree, but it's not, you know, too far from saving or whatever it is. Like, they're still communists or socialists or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I just
Yeah.
the one thing I want to point out is that I think
I just don't want to badmouth people with the term Stalinist. That's all. Like,
no,
like,
I agree.
No, definitely.
What I wanted to point out though is I think Die Linke it's much more, and this is also a reflection of how politics works across Germany. Like I said, it's very top down, but the fact that it came from like the former East, the DDR ruling party, and then this kind of like, I don't know, like with like this very like two parties merged, not because of some popular movement, but because of just this kind of like this election, like sort of these party machinations, and that birthed the Die Linke is today, and that's the two strands of their history. And at no point was it some popular upsurge defining these are the problems of our times and this is what we want. So it makes sense that they're a little more removed, I would say. And I don't know how left parties form in other countries. I guess there's an old communist party that's kind of outdated and a relic. But
Yeah.
in Germany, this like modern party that's supposed to that a lot of the like left wing people, young people vote for, they didn't make it themselves. It kind of just like came to them through these like.
But I guess in Eastern Europe you have like a different problem, for example, because here in Germany you already had a party system that was installed, so you didn't have to build a new party system because the East merged with the West, so you could actually stay in the opposition as the left party, or as the here PDS, VASG, etc., before they become the left party. And in the other countries of this former Soviet Union, they actually had to build new parties, and they were forced in the 90s to, like the former left parties or communist parties or people who were in the communist parties, they had to build new parties, a new party system, and a lot of them were forced to, not forced, they actually worked also with them, so they were stupid, to leave their party lines, like the former party lines definitely, because everyone was pissed off by the Soviet Union, and go directly into the direction of neoliberal market reforms and stuff like that. So you still have what you have with Die Linke, and why it probably seems like it's an old party or something like that, is because they could actually stay in the opposition the way they were. Like, of course, they abolished Marxist-Leninism and said we are now democratic socialist. But it went like shit went down in Eastern Europe, for example, and that's why you can't even have anything like that in Eastern Europe.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's a pretty common formula, though, for most of countries that weren't part of the Eastern Bloc, too. Like, I think all these, I think you see in, like, Denmark and shit like that. Like, there's just these old Marxist-Leninist parties that just, like, sit around, get, like, one seat and whatever. And because they just refuse to change their ideology, they just kind of remain this thing. I mentioned the example briefly of the KKE in Greece, but they want to do the same. Like, they didn't want to go and do a thing with Syriza because they saw themselves as the pure communists. And given, like, they do have a good history of one part good, one part bad, of, you know, being the party during the Greek Civil War and stuff like that. And they've held themselves on this, like, relic that is stupid. I don't know what it is in the UK, because like Labour used to be that communist wing.
Yeah, so for the rest of Europe, I can probably talk a little bit about. So like the Nordic countries were weird because during the whole Cold War thing, they kind of just like straddled the fence a little bit. Like let's see how this whole Cold War thing shakes out, and then we'll decide if we're communist or not. Since then, most of those countries have taken on the model of Germany, actually. Most of their left-wing parties are literally just called the left, or whatever that is in Swedish, Norwegian,
There's
Danish.
even like the European conglomerate.
United European Left / Nordic Green Left. Like, they're a big part of that foundation. But the they're very comparable to Die Linke. Then you have like France, which has always had like 3 left-wing
Oh yeah,
parties.
France. Their history of communism is just insane.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of insane histories of communism, Italy, where like the Communist Party was always kind of in power, but also not. So like that's why you have like weird cultural things like
they don't exist anymore now, which is even weirder.
Yeah, and the successor of them is like a liberal centrist party.
Yeah.
Like I said, these are the kind of the roughly, again, we're really oversimplifying it. The thing to know about Die Linke is that there are many different factions within the party. It's not just the parliamentary and the platform, the East and the West, the left and the right, the pragmatic and the idealistic. It breaks down a lot of different angles. But the one we're going to be talking about is this one between Sarah Wagenknecht, who was the leader of the party until a few months ago when she said she will step down, and her husband, Oscar Lafontaine, versus maybe what a left-wing vision of the party could be. To frame this dichotomy, I want to read an op-ed that Oscar Lafontaine published in Neues Deutschland. For people who don't know, Neues Deutschland is just the paper. It's the party paper of Die Linke. It was the official paper. It was the
official,
paper
yeah,
in the
GDR, yeah.
Okay.
and now it's just the paper for the party.
Nice
So-
Deutschland, like
yeah.
New Germany.
New Germany.
Yeah, New Germany. Yeah.
New Germany, everyone, round up. Oh, the Krauts are at it again.
So this is where Oscar Lafontaine's gonna be a messy little bitch.
Oh, great.
And this
yeah.
this has, like I was saying earlier, this has very, very extreme, like, and you know another thing, you pussies, energy. Like he's he has a lot to say.
Yep.
I'm gonna skip around, but let's begin. So he starts off talking about this was published shortly after the 2017 election, when AfD enters parliament. The Die Linke does pretty good. They do fine. I mean, about the same as they did the last time. Yeah, and that's what it opens with. So he says with 9.2% of the vote, 4.3 million in total, Die Linke achieved its second best result in a Bundestag election. Blah, 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 blah. The party would therefore have every reason to be satisfied with this election result. But criticism is being voiced behind closed doors, especially from those who frenetically cheered the crash of Die Linke in 2013 from 11.9 to 8.6%. So there are some fake friends in the party.
No new friends. No new friends.
I want to apologize in advance. It's all translated, obviously, so I'm not capturing Oscar Lafontaine's beautiful writing.
His prose.
But hopefully the racism still comes through.
God damn it.
The latent inner party conflicts become visible here. Again, this is the party newspaper from the husband of the leader of the party. The two party chairmen have little approval among the voters.
Oh.
His evidence is Bernd Riesiger, as the top candidate, achieved 2.9% in the state parliamentary elections in Baden-Württemberg. He brought receipts. And in Katja Kipping's state association Saxony, whose state list she headed, there was the weakest result in the East was 16.1%.
To be fair, both of those states are far too racist for the Die Linke, even with their bespoke leftist race science to work.
And even Katja Kipping, it was just like I guess she's the top name in the state, but it's not about her specifically. It's about Die Linke.
Yeah, no, of course.
The party of your wife.
Yeah.
But they did not want to accept the decision for the top candidate. They did not want to accept the decision for Sarah Wagenknecht to be the top candidate during the entire election campaign. Just stating facts.
Oh, they hate my wife.
Now there's criticism. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Goes on. I'm going to skip this part. He sends some stats. Yeah, Die Linke, they're voting AfD and SPD and the CDU vote. More workers vote for them, blah, blah, blah. He's going to explain why. This section's titled Missed Refugee Policy.
Oh.
Yeah, I can already imagine this argument.
The key to this lack of support, again, this whole thing is like 1,000 words. And so we're 4 paragraphs in.
Okay.
You know, he doesn't beat around the bush. The key to this lack of support from those at the lower end of the income scale is the misguided refugee policy. This accusation is made not by Die Linke, but by all parties represented in the Bundestag so far. So for your logic debate nerds at home, it's always a good idea for to say, the capitalist parties say this is a bad idea, and, if they say it isn't, it must be.
We're the party of the left.
They say we suck, so we probably suck.
Oh, god damn it.
But here's his reasoning. He's doing a little Jan Fleischhauer mindset, if I may say so myself.
That's the best mindset.
The reason the refugee policy is bad
Uh-huh.
Go
is
for
because
it,
the
King.
principle of social justice has been overridden in the response to the refugee problem. Turning it on its head, you see. Because it's the social justice warriors, quote
Oh,
unquote,
god damn it.
who
No.
defend the refugees. But he says, actually, it's real social justice to be against the refugees. He goes on.
Wait, what?
No. He goes on.
Yeah.
He goes on.
I'm not going to interrupt.
I know
Go.
that argument.
Keep going. Yeah.
And this happens in two ways.
Okay.
Social justice obligates us to help those who are most dependent on it,
Mm-hmm.
who are most in need of it.
Yeah.
The burden of immigration must not be placed on those who are already the losers of the rising inequality in income and wealth by increased competition in the low-wage sector, rising rents in neighborhoods with cheap housing, and increasing difficulties in schools with a growing proportion of pupils with poor language skills. Experience in Europe shows that when these people no longer feel represented by left-wing or social democratic parties, they increasingly elect right-wing parties.
So get more racist, fam, and you'll win seats back.
That's how international
That is
Dice.
peak internationalism
With-
right there, is it not?
Well,
Yeah.
The more perfect your race science is, the more internationalist
he
you
takes
are.
something that,
I
like,
want to do
I mean,
Star Wars
we've
quote.
said on the show before how bad the German refugee policy was because they're just like made no attempts. Like all these people arrived and they're like, "Great, welcome. Figure it out. You got this."
Yeah, because Germany has always had a really good refugee policy. Forever, always. The last 60 years of this country's history has been built on good refugee policy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
the national pastime of
Always
Germany.
worked out.
Literally, for its entire history, has been like wilding out on minorities.
Yeah.
The national pastime
and
of
since
Germany.
since World War II, specifically on migrants.
The national board game in German homes from the 60s onwards is everyone's favorite family game of when will the Turks go home?
Yeah, exactly.
Helmut Kohl
Let them
literally was
rebuild
like,
Germany and then send
I'm
them
wondering
home.
when Balkan nations start joining the European Union, was there just a collective fuck
Yeah,
from from fucking Germany?
No, it wasn't Germany. It was particularly Austria. Austria had a fucking freak out with the Balkan nations joining because they got the bulk of the refugees from the Balkan Wars, and they were like, oh, so they're not going back, and they have the legal right to stay. Oh, okay. Next thing you're telling me, gay people can marry. Austria.
I always
Austria,
imagine
only
this
good
just
comes from Austria.
Everything good comes from Austria. Beethoven, some other people, maybe.
Helmut Kohl, the CDU leader in the 80s, he literally had the Thanos plan. He's like, I'm going to make half the Turks disappear. That's in the official documents.
Yep.
He's like, I'm going to kick out half of them.
Jesus.
Remember the last time Germany tried to just
Make people disappear?
People disappeared.
Yeah.
It ended up.
So, but what do you make of that? Of the point at the end there where he said, the people who are sort of neglected or go to the right wing or vote for the right wing.
Yeah, so I mean, what we started there was that it's the fault, it's almost intentional negligence by the part of the German state to take in refugees, and then they're forced into precarious situations because they're not the whole Willkommenskultur is just from individuals trying to give their own. There's not actually
Right.
I've spent 20 hours of the past month waiting at the Ausländerbehörde. It's not a nice place, and it's done on purpose.
And you're and you're
Oktoberfest?
here in Germany as someone who's white, as
Who's seen as an
non-European.
expat.
So you're an expat.
Yeah.
Imagine then. I mean, I've heard things of people who come here as Kurds,
Yep.
who are from a nation that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And they're in Germany in this this infinite limbo because they're I don't have a passport. So what do I do? And you can't do anything, and they can't really send you back because it's all right, yeah, Syria is obviously a active war zone. Which
Sicheres Herkunft.
yeah. So they can't send you back to Afghanistan, which is a perfectly safe country according to Germany.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, didn't you see them
We
walk
lo-
around with all the soldier like protection and shit they had
Yeah.
Yeah.
in Kabul.
We looked around outside of Kabul airport and no further and decided
Looks
it's fine.
nice. Looks
Yeah,
awesome.
This airport's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
They can
Looks
stay
safe to
here.
me. I didn't see anyone.
No, it's stuffed. And
Yeah.
I'm interested though because I don't know much about this stuff, but I'm interested in the statistics of the AfD's the AfD's rise in as far as percentage is concerned with voters, and when the refugees arrived in Germany, is that do they correspond or?
I think there's like a direct correlation, isn't there? Because the AfD made that their major point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because newsflash, Germany's very racist.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like this. There's also this weird thing where AfD is like taking on like somewhat anti-capitalist politics in like some parts of Germany, which is like
That's
buck
weird.
wild. It
Yeah.
is buck wild. But like, yeah, they're just kind of making it their issue. But the like, I think the important overarching takeaway from this is trying to be the party that out-racists the racist party doesn't fucking work. Like it never does.
Yeah.
There's a great example of like France in the 80s and 90s where like the communist-backed center-left government was like, hey, we're going to we're in charge now and it's great. And then Front National comes along and is like, hey, this deflation and rising unemployment, that's due to immigrants.
Yeah.
And then the center-left party agreed with them, and now famously Front National doesn't exist and hasn't definitely almost won the presidency like 3 times. They went away and it all worked out and France is fine now.
Super fun.
Woo! It all worked out.
But that's not going to stop Oscar Lafontaine from trying to out-racist the racist. We can go on. What's so bad about this letter from Oscar Lafontaine is he's saying that the refugees, that there's more students who don't know, or more like young children who don't know German or something, and that's ruining the schools, and then the poor white children don't learn.
Didn't know he would go that far.
Just pay more for schools, like, and this goes back to the Ausländerbehörde. Like, you talk about German engineering, like at Oktoberfest, like that shit's run like a whistle, and you tell me they can't get more than like literally 5 employees at the Berlin Ausländerbehörde. They do that on purpose. They're like, don't come.
Yeah. They haven't gone full fucking UK level of just driving a van around on the side that says like "Go home."
But they have put up a bunch.
communities.
They have put up a bunch of billboards
Yeah.
with a ton of flags. Literally every flag is
Oh, the
either from
fucking we'll pay for your house.
That
thing.
was a Heimat
So
Ministerium.
essentially, Oscar Lafontaine is scapegoating immigrants for the problems that.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, yeah.
a lot of times what they fall back on is that we're just against any sort of refugees, like that's sort of like hurting German workers. This idea of
Yeah.
quotas, but it's like they
That-
love
and
talking
that's
about
such a
Islam in
right-wing-
particular and not knowing German and these kind of like.
It's such a right-wing
in
rhetoric,
these
though,
words too.
to outplay like workers,
Yeah.
especially saying like, "Oh, your socioeconomic situation is because." I mean, this is hurting the German working class and stuff like that. It's interesting how you could even try to do that,
Yeah.
like in the left party like that.
You saw those posters of like
Yeah.
around town that was like, "Hey, go home." Basically, of those posters.
But
It
in
was
your
like-
native language, that's so nice of them.
It wasn't that. It was in Arabic. Hooray!
Yay. And in Russian
Yay.
even. Yeah.
Holy shit!
They
Yeah,
have
it
it in
was just-
Russian.
It was
yeah.
a list
pay you
of
like
conspicuously
2,000
non-white
euros.
nations flags.
Yeah.
Hooray!
I mean, except
The
for the
Irish
Russian
flag
one.
wasn't fucking there. I can tell you
So
that.
who did that? Sorry, who? Which?
That
who's
was
the
that was
government?
Seahawks.
Heimat Ministerium.
That
like
was the German government. That was Seahawks'
the-
plan, wasn't it?
Yeah, Innenministerium.
Yeah.
So like the
Wow.
home. What is it called?
Interior.
And-
What is
Interior,
that? It's
interior,
literally
yeah.
that meme.
I
What's
love
the-
hearing someone not from Germany just give like just a wow when it comes to how racist this country
Literally,
is.
what's the meme of the guy handing like, "I'll pay you $100 to fuck off"? That's literally, "I'll pay you $2,000
Exactly,
to fuck
yeah,
off." Like,
yeah.
thank you for the exploited labor for.
I
X
really like
number
that
of
someone
years.
from South Africa was like, "Wow, this country's racist."
So which one's worse, apartheid or Germany?
Apartheid. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fair. I could have put money on that one.
Even more seriously,
I'm just waiting for like a Jan Fleischhauer article to be like, apartheid, that was cool.
That's probably already happened.
Yeah.
even more seriously, the principle of social justice is violated when we look at people fleeing war, hunger, and disease. Only a minority manages to raise several thousand euros with which one can pay for smugglers to come to Europe, mainly to Germany. Millions of war refugees vegetate in the camps. Millions more people have no chance at all to leave their homeland because of hunger and disease.
Okay.
But, wait, and then it goes on. I mean, then he goes on to say, yeah, you know, if we stop funding arms, then we'd make a difference. But just, I love the moment where he's just like, the refugees who come to Germany are like the rich, flashy hip-hop style refugees.
Yeah, what the fuck?
These refugees with their gold chains and their
They
mixtapes.
And
like
free
literally had to walk
smartphones.
across
That's why they
Europe
own
to
all the
get to
smartphones.
Germany.
That was legitimately a point that
I know,
the
I know, that
right
was
was
a-
doing
I know.
about, yeah.
Yeah, it was them saying like, oh, yeah, but they all have like 3 smartphones and shit like that. Why do they want to call their family?
It's like one smartphone that they had. But
Yeah, or
Why
even
won't-
if
why
they
won't
have
they
to,
give
it
up their
doesn't.
only lifeline?
Exactly,
Why
to
won't
their
they do
family
it?
and the people at home. Like,
Why-
I think
Give
it was
up
just,
your smartphone.
I
I want
think
you
it
all
was
to be
just that they were
poor.
really mad of seeing all the like Arab dudes who like just FaceTime everywhere.
yeah, because their fucking family is somewhere.
No, but I mean like just in general.
Oh, you mean like in general?
just in
Yeah,
general,
yeah, in
Arab
general,
dudes
yeah.
love FaceTime.
That
So
is-
Oscar Lafontaine is a serious politician.
Yes,
He was
Oh,
the leader
yeah.
of the party for years and
Yeah.
years.
and he
his
does
wife
not
is the leader of the
understand
party
Arab
now.
FaceTiming. He does not understand it.
This is not just
And
some
he
crank.
wanted
This is
to-
like the
he
leader of the
actually
party.
Use
He
FaceTime.
actually wanted to.
This is the leader of the party being like, attention, your leader speaking.
He actually.
I like this idea that he can't use FaceTime so hard he's racist.
He actually wanted to get re-elected, and they had to stop him from getting re-elected back then. So he's kind of like the little dictator of the Linke.
Oh, god damn it. It's like, I want to get re-elected. We really rather you did. Please stop.
Please don't.
Oh, no.
That's about all I want to read from Oscar Lafontaine. Hopefully that's a nice introduction into...
That
I
is-
still imagine him
The problems with
being
Die
very
Linke.
mad about Arab dudes FaceTiming.
All right, so now we have to talk about Zaha Wagenknecht, because this is kind of like a proxy battle over her. And she's been the leader of the party for the past few years. She said she will step down. But after 2017, she announced this program called Aufstehen, which means stand up, rise up.
Get
Stand up.
Get up.
For your rights.
Move, you
Funny.
move. Just like
The
that.
idea behind it, I think it was made at the same time as the Yellow Vests or around there. At least I heard
A
about it.
little bit
Yeah.
before. A little
Okay.
bit before.
But it had a lot of, and it was consciously, and to me this sounds kind of obvious, but I think in German politics it is kind of unique to be an extra parliamentary like political force.
Extra parliamentary stuff is not unique in Germany. I was just referring to 68.
The ultimate goal of Aufstehen was the stated goal, I should say, was like to make a red-green coalition. It was basically a unifying factor for grassroots movements across the thing they constantly stated was like, it doesn't matter if you're an SPD or Green or Die Linke supporter,
Yeah.
this is for you, and that was the stated goal. However, from what I've read, the actual goal was like, hi, I'm Sarah Wagenknecht. People kind of like me more than they like Die Linke. Wouldn't it be cool if I had my own power base so I could be president or prime minister or
President.
chancellor? President of Germany.
We're doing like the
You-
presidential system.
You guys
She's
have a
changing-
president. He does
Yeah, but he
sweet
does
feck off.
nothing.
Yeah, he visited like beef farms in Galway in
Yeah,
Ireland
that is
once.
true.
I met him. I actually met him.
You met
Oh.
Joachim Gauch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you shake his hand?
No, I didn't.
He was old,
Yeah, he's
wasn't
evangelical.
he?
That's why.
He's very old.
What does he smell like?
I don't know. I didn't get that close.
Okay.
But like I met him before I ever encountered like any Irish politician.
But it's actually interesting because I have friends who I have sometimes very problematic views on stuff like on the refugee crisis. Like I mean, I won't say her name.
Drag her.
No,
don't.
But
don't
she,
do that.
yeah, she was very critical because how should I say it? Her father is like was part of the '68 movement and stuff like that, but he became quite misogynistic, or he always was. I don't know. And she's not a big fan of like radical left. But she liked Sarah Wagenknecht.
Oh, yeah.
And her kind of nüchtern, what would be nüchtern, of like her sober view on the refugee crisis.
Oh.
I was like, that's problematic. And I heard it from different people, like people that are more into leaning like right wing or something like that. That they actually, but that Wagenknecht. That girl.
Yeah,
she's a charismatic leader.
It's important when women and children and men and human beings who have hopes and dreams and aspirations are drowning in the Mediterranean that we remain unemotional. That's the important thing here.
Yep. Gotta see us like sober view.
we have to be sober. I'm not sober.
You gotta be fucking shit-faced. And
Kieran's shit-faced view of the left. I like refugees. Save them. I don't want them to drown. That's Kieran's drunk view of left politics. I will debate Sarah Wagenknecht.
Maybe a better comp than the reason I bring up the yellow vest is Austin was probably more actually quite consciously copying Momentum in the UK because Momentum, Sarah Wagenknecht says in interviews often that they have Momentum activists in Germany that are working with them, and much in the same way that Momentum kind of was like gave Labour a boost, they wanted to do the same with Die Linke. Yep. You mentioned the Red-Red-Green coalition, and that's crucial because no matter what, all these divisions we're talking about in Die Linke, and if there's one thing, like, this is maybe the best summary of Die Linke. No matter like all the different factions we've talked about, almost nobody thinks that Die Linke should be like an independent political force. Because even Sarah Wagenknecht says like the way she talks is like we're pushing SPD from the left. They say that in interviews. And like when you reflexively see yourself as like the like conscious of the SPD, like the leftist skull that's gonna like join the coalition with them and push them left, what does that do to the party? What does that do to you? And the reason I bring up the yellow vest is because that is a much more spontaneous, actual popular uprising. That's truly like outside the that's, I don't know. It exists in Germany, but it's very divorced from any sort of politic, any sort of parliamentary politics.
But I mean, it always has been a big discussion in the left, in Die Linke, if they should even join coalitions with other parties, like if they should stay like a total oppositional party, or if they should join coalitions. And that was always like when they started to join, when they did the Magdeburger Modell, for example, that was their first coalition in Magdeburg then, where they started to join coalitions with the left, with the Social Democrats. Coalition with the left. That would be
way
an
too much
idea.
fucking credit.
Or the Green Party. And I mean, you see what happens when they do that. I mean, they start doing weird shit like they do right now in Berlin, for example, in Lichtenberg, where they voted to put a weird, I don't know, it's an aquarium, I think, they put on at Rummelsbucht now, and Die Linke also voted for it and shit like that. So they start doing weird shit when they get into coalitions. But of course, there was always this discussion also what Gregor Gysi then said, okay, we can't always be an opposition. We have to like get and try to actually govern and shit. So yeah.
but then you have this situation in Thüringen, which seems to be the like realistic dream. Like you're in the coalition, but you lead the coalition. The Die Linke, the guy we mentioned before, I forget his
Bodo
name.
Ramelow.
Yeah. Like Die Linke is the largest party in that coalition, so the SPD and Greens, in theory, have to do what they say, and they've just continued the same deportation regime as the rest of Germany. It's the same stuff. So.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because he actually started the discussion. He said he's ready to get into a discussion about sichere Herkunftsstaaten, so like secure
Afghanistan.
Secure. what would be the English
safe
word for it?
lands, safe countries of return.
Okay.
Oh god. That's
Wow.
fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. So he said he would be ready to get into a discussion with them and actually say that Algeria and Tunisia and stuff like that. What then happened?
Algeria and
would be-
Tunisia are very broken countries still. I think we all forget that.
Yeah. And it also
Like-
depends, like, for example, if you're homosexual or something like that, you're probably
There's still
Not happy to-
European European countries thinking that fucking Libya is a safe country
Oh,
of
yeah.
return.
Yeah.
Even though there's fucking
What?
open there's open slave markets in that country now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking
But
Christ.
hey,
Save.
to be fair, there are also cool leftists who think that Gaddafi was a pimp. So I mean, like, both are stupid.
Therefore,
I mean,
it is a
to be-
fine country.
to be fair, Ramlo's kind of like the Kretschmer of Die Linke, so we know like who Kretschmer is. He
He's
is
a right-wing member of the
of the Green
Greens.
Party. He is ruling Baden-Württemberg, and he is kind of like CDU, but with a green
He
touch.
has a flat top, which a flat top is the international
Yeah.
sign of being fash.
So I gotta say,
Say no
yeah,
more.
because the left party,
Bad
so
guy.
Die Linke,
Yeah,
they actually criticized. I mean, throughout the party line,
he's
they
like a
criticized.
1980s villain. Just straight
Yeah.
up.
from the Rocky films.
Yeah, literally.
Because as a party line, it's still not accepted what Sarah Wagenknecht said and what Ramlo said. So there's still always the critique.
What you mean, Sarah Wagenknecht's like comments about Stalin or her racism?
her racism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because her Stalinism I can support.
They always get a big like a lot of backlash in throughout the party.
This is why they fuck,
Because-
though. They're both
so
racist enough.
so I agree, and like
Racist hand
I
jobs.
think
Bad again.
the point I'm trying to get at is not so much that that Die Linke is this monolith that thinks that. It's that any sort of left wing parliament, any sort of left wing movement that wants to deal with parliament in Germany is sort of blocked by the leadership of Die Linke, who fix these sort of like controls on them. So no matter what the party thinks, like, okay, we need to do this, this, and that to actually adhere to our beliefs, both wings of the party, whether it's Katja Kipping or Sarah Wagenknecht, are like, we exist, like, we're an opposition party. I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah, and the Die Linke, if they want to go forward, can't be that. Like, it's just simply, I mean, at one sense, like, what we've been talking about is shit. Like, to be fair, just to lay it all out, like, this is not a party that I want to support, which is pretty shit because the things that they're associated with are cool. Like, their quote-unquote think tank, like the Luxembourg
Oh, yeah.
Stiftung,
Yeah.
I really like.
Mhm.
They produce really good,
Stuff.
studies and all that kind of stuff.
It-
Really good events and whatnot.
Just to tag on a little bit to that, it's always weird that like think tanks, especially on the left, are always more left than the party themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the think tank, I forgot the name of it. The think tank for the SPD is way more left.
The
Friedrich
Friedrich
Ebert
Ebert
Stiftung.
Stiftung.
Is like
With the name of the
Unfortunately, they have
worst-
the name of the guy that is kind of responsible for killing Rosa Luxemburg. So
oh cool.
Yeah.
That's a weird. That's
But yeah,
Kind
so
of.
it is always like a weird thing with Die Linke is that like I like Die Linke as a party in theory. I don't like the people who are in it, who are like as we've said multiple times already, is that they're just old. They're these
they're
old.
just old.
They're just
No,
these,
and they're not.
they're the old guard of the left that don't belong there anymore.
which is why I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
She is not a cop. But
Swearsies.
but it like the thing is that like Germany like has a I think at least a decent left wing opposition within its own country, which is the left.
Yeah.
However, it needs some renovation. They need to like I think it's good that Gregor Gysi's come out and said that, like, hey, like
Mhm.
we don't need to be in opposition anymore. We should consider maybe trying to think outside of the box here.
Trying to overthrow the government.
Yeah, which would be pimp.
And let's
But-
piss all over that fucking constitution.
Yeah,
watch
Hell
just
yeah.
piss
watch
all over
those
the fucking
fuckers
Grundgesetz.
cry.
Well,
Watch,
come on
now
the
that I just said piss all over the
Verfassungsschutzliste.
Grundgesetz, we're gonna be fucking.
Now we're on the watch list.
We're
Thank
on the
you,
fucking
guys.
watch list of the fucking
Good.
Verfassungsschutz.
That
I've
was-
been on there.
That's my
before.
2019
Yeah.
goal. I've been in this country for less than a year, and I'm already.
Yeah,
But
but like back to my point is that Die Linke has redeeming factors, far more redeeming factors than bad factors. At least I think is that they are a party that then is legitimately anti-capitalist. They are which is pretty common in Europe just in general, that you have a good left-wing bloc. However, Germany doesn't have a bloc. They have just one party that then represent a bloc of multiple left-wing ideas. And this is good. Like it is problematic with the figureheads who are kind of there, who've made themselves loud, proud, and in charge of what they're about, which is, we want to be the left-wing version of the AFD, which isn't what the entire party is about. And they've called them out on that, I think, multiple times. It just is when we see then the torch being passed over to the younger bloc of Die Linke is, I think, when we're actually going to see that become like a bigger, better. I mean, kind of like in the sense of like in the U.S. that we've seen with Corbyn or Sanders in the U.S., that can then blossom, because the SPD doesn't have an answer to that. And I think
Kühnert.
Hey, you know what? Pimp. He should, like, if the SPD becomes that, then that'd be cool.
But
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, the other thing is about the Die Linke is that a lot of like that good stuff about Die Linke is very easy to find at like a local or like ground floor level.
They have to position themselves as well.
Yeah. So like the internationals group here in Berlin, I've always found have been like very good in politics, very far removed from that like Wagenknecht or whatever what you want to call that wing of the party. And the same goes for like it doesn't affect me personally, but I've been doing a bit of research on like the queer group that's involved with fucking Die Linke. They're like really good on these kind of like factors as well. And this is all the like grassroots quote unquote aspect of this party that is told to go away sometimes. Or But you're right, there's like this old guard, new guard problem, and like the old guard is...
And the new guard will prevail, like it's just simply put as that, because the old guard's going to die.
Yeah.
Like that is just simply put as that. They're just going to disappear because they can't be in politics forever.
The new guard is doing like 3 spins on its head and then landing in such a way that its hand is behind the head, and then the old guard is like trying to do a flip to this breakdancing move and then just breaks their fucking back and dies in the street somewhere in Kreuzberg. That's what I envisioned as. A really terribly gone awry breakdance battle in Kreuzberg.
So the thing is, I'm not so hopeful because it's the structure of German... Okay. Die Linke sees itself as the parliamentary voice in a lot of ways of left-wing groups. Like I am your shield, I'm your voice, and all this. But Jesus. Even that structure doesn't work. I mean, we see it doesn't work. I mean, all right, let's look at Aufstehen to go back to that. They set up this Aufstehen as a way that they're going to reconnect to these grassroots. And then you just have a glorified mailing list that's just, I mean, from the most part, it's what it participates in what Sarah Wagenknecht wanted it to participate in.
Yeah. And like at the same time, there was like no fucking grassroots movements or activist movements involved when it first launched. The like people who were involved in the first launch was Sarah Wagenknecht and a handful of other like state or local level politicians. There was nothing like, there were no grassroots movements. There were no activist movements or social justice movements involved. Which fucking blew chunks. That was fucking terrible. Sorry, go on, Julia.
Yeah. But I mean, that seems to be a common problem because, I mean, you already see it with what they tried before with becoming more racist, just to connect with like former voters or something like that. Oh yeah, these people don't vote for us anymore. Oh, maybe we should try to be more racist to make them happy or anything like that. I mean, that's kind of offensive to think that you can only win back the working class by like playing on some irrational fears or something like, or not irrational fears, but you know what I mean, like some not made up fears. Oh, what? I mean, the fears are legit. No, fuck.
By finding
a
scapegoat.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly.
Scapegoats are made up fears.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, good. Then Germans.
Implicit in that pitch, like we hear you. You want us to protect the German worker. That means we could get more racist. Like
exactly.
That's what's
exactly.
Like, implicit in that is this is the only way forward.
That's
and the reason for that is because politics, especially in Germany, mass politics is no go. Like you can't, like it exists. Like Germany has tons of left wing shit. They're everywhere.
I get all my news from the stickers on bins.
But like none of it can coalesce into a movement because that's not supported at all. That's verboten, really. Like legally, it is. Like if you fuck with the Constitution, you fuck with me. Like that's what they say.
Before you go, Rob, I'd just like to say to the Verfassungsschutz that I'm only here for one episode.
Ian is not a member of the militant whatever organization we're creating.
Späti.
The militant corner Späti.
Drinking beer and pissing on the Constitution.
Ian's not my real name. My real name is Daniel Odell. Look him up.
All I want to say is Die Linke and like Die Linke as a party. Like whatever you want to say about political, like a party as a form of political organization, a parliamentary party, people have different thoughts. I think it's a very useful vehicle for any kind of organization. But in German politics, the whole deal or part of the deal is that as not only like
The art of the deal.
not only is the guiding principle of the leadership of the Die Linke party now as an opposition party, but to some extent any true left-wing party as any left-wing party, a party can't be truly left-wing and be in the parliament. It needs to have a certain it can be if it has like a base like something like the Yellow Vest in France, but that's sort of like headed off from the start in Germany as impossible. And the only way to appeal to people is, well...
But we've seen this in other European countries, and we've had this conversation before, is that like what would happen if then a left-wing government took charge in X country? For Spain, Portugal, Greece, and Italy, it means nothing because they are part of a peripheral.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Eurozone and when it comes to Europe. Like, it means nothing because you have to appease. And I think in Germany, it falls into the category of if they were to become... one of the leading parties in this country, it would be monumental because it would change the entire rhetoric of that. I can just call it imperialist, can't I? Imperial.
Germany, Berlin, we are at the center of an empire.
Yeah, like it would be at the head of reshaping an old imperial wing of capital.
Yeah, but you're assuming they're going to reshape it. Die Linke, once they get into government, they're just SPD.
I'm simply just saying in the sense of that, so that like you have a power that you can use it, because there are nations that are within Europe that have already tried that, and that have been fucked by capital. And Germany's just kind of sitting, the left in Germany is just kind of sitting here being like, oh, well, I don't know yet. Oh, well, I guess I'll, try to be in opposition.
I don't know, Scoop.
Yeah, and you see fucking like Podemos and Syriza just fucking, I mean, Syriza has had to, and Podemos have had to sacrifice more than any other left-wing movements of the last 50 years. To the point that they've like become meaningless in these countries. I mean, given Podemos like is still maintained power, but Syriza in October is gonna lose to Nea Democratia because they cannot fucking do anything.
They're going to lose fucking hard.
Yeah, like Nea Democratia has already had like 35%, which is a governing like. And in Greece, you get 60 extra seats.
Woo! Fun electoral system.
Yeah, dumb. And they'll probably make a coalition with fucking Golden Dawn or some dumb shit like that. So. Like, Germany needs to accept their, like, I don't want to sound like a fucking liberal idiot, but, like, accept your privilege and, realize that you have a position in the European, quagmire that exists right now that you can do something. Like, you can act where you are, and people are willing to then to take up... I don't want to say arms because it's not the proper thing, but they're willing to then get behind this movement that then is anti-imperialist, that is anti-capital, that is this is a trend that the SPD cannot grab a hold of because they want to be centrist, and the AFD is grabbed because they're just racist. And I don't think that the most people who are joining the AFD are just joining it because they're racist. They're just upset with Europe and they're upset with Germany, and there is a monumental shift that could happen, and just the Die Linke just sits there like, oh well, we're just in opposition. No, fuck off. That is a privileged move, more or less. You know,
acknowledge your Spargel privilege.
Yeah, all that fucking Spargel privilege that you guys want for fucking East Europe. I don't understand it. But no, it really is. It really is just genuinely off-putting. That's just like kind of like my last big point.
I agree with you completely. That is like a real populist message. Like the masses of Europe, if all right, like if you're with this EU project, the masses of Europe are together on this political project to like.
So then fucking show it, Die Linke.
But they won't do it.
No, exactly.
That's
Die
the
Linke
problem.
is just like basically every single German political party is like operating in the system. You can call it incrementalism, you can call it whatever you want, but that's their tactic. Whether they are the idealist purists who tinker the policy platform, or whether they're the realists like Wagenknecht who want to get some particular program passed and think they have to sacrifice X, Y, and Z to do it. No matter what, it all goes down to that. And part of the appeal of the off day was it was this classic 1-2 hustle where the capitalists pretend in a system where there's zero real political power for the people. They pretend, they fake like, oh look, we're gonna give you the political power as just a way to like make a more reactionary capitalist force. There's like the fact part of the appeal beyond the pure racism is the idea of like, oh, we're gonna make a change, like. And that's some sense of power, of having power when you don't have any. And really, what Europe is really going to turn towards is America. Because America has
fascism. And just absolute fascism.
America has the perfect hustle, where the people feel like they have power because it's a culture war. People feel like they're owning people online, or they elect Trump to troll the libs, and they feel like, people in America, they feel like they're fucking engaged with politics when they're not doing anything. It's the same cabal of psychotic pedophiles who run everything in America. That's not going to change no matter how many libs you troll. But that's the perfect system, and that's the way they want it. And that's getting imported mainly through the right wing, with the triggering libs on campuses and the like off days saying you need to have a gun to feel like powerful and defend yourself. That's just going to get imported.
I have plenty of guns. I feel very powerful. Okay,
that's the perfect that's a perfect fake mass politics to replace the lack of any actual mass politics, when the reality of a left-wing mass politics is staring you right in the fucking face and no one
but this goes back to the entire thing that we've had multiple conversations about, is that German left-wing politics ignores internationalism, regardless of if that internationalism is within Europe or beyond that, which it should be beyond that. Yeah, because where is there a German movement? Okay,
let's into the EU. That's Kieran's opinion.
But where is there like a German internationalism even beyond the EU? It doesn't exist. And even within the EU, it doesn't exist. The MLPD. Yeah.
I was about to say that. No, seriously. They're very active.
That was this episode of the Corner Späti. I think we should wrap it up, and we should all stare at pictures of this Albanian rapper's bare chest.
Wait.
Georgian.
What did I say?
Albino.
Oh, he's albino. He's albino.
It's been a long evening, all right.
Albino people.
Wait.
So Ian's replacing me as the comedian on the podcast. I'm fucking cancelled.
Okay, two things I want to say before we go.
All right.
First, I want to thank Ian for coming. Is there anything you want to shout out?
Yes.
Thank you.
Your Twitter handle. Your
thank you for having me.
Shows.
And I sure hope you guys have me on again.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
I don't really have any podcasts or anything. I listen to this podcast.
Yay!
And
you're one of our 3 fans.
and yeah, it's actually pretty good for me. Trying to find my bearings in Europe. Yeah, I think
it's a stupid place.
It's
fucking dumb. Europe is retarded.
Here's a concept for you. Europe doesn't exist. This is just West Asia.
Yeah. Greece is Turkey, actually. So yeah,
Greece is Turkey. We're all Turkey.
Yeah. Merhaba.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm a comedian in Berlin, so I just want to put my plug my Facebook page on there, which is Facebook it's facebook.com/I am comic, and the first 4 letters are uppercase and the rest are lowercase. Okay.
It should
Well,
work
yeah.
either way.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
know
put it in the
that
show
I know that
notes,
Ian
so-
didn't like talk that much because we were being stupid and trying to be pretending to be
We were
intellectual.
silencing him because we're
Yeah.
sexist.
But
Oh yeah, you did that with me.
Ian really
You know what
is.
he is.
Ian really is a hilarious stand-up comic here in Berlin, and
I've seen him.
if you are here in Berlin,
He is the second best comedian in this room.
oh,
That's right.
first is Yulia.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
But for real though, for all those in Berlin, if you do like us, follow Ian, and you should come and see him because he's a pimp, and he really will just catch you off with the most awkward comedy I've ever heard in my entire life.
That is the best way
It
to
is so
describe
good.
it.
It's so good. I fucking love it.
Shout out to Melty Brains for letting us use their themes for our theme song, New Dawn. That's for anyone who's confused. That's DON, not DAWN.
No, Dawn, like Golden Dawn.
No. Dawn like an Italian mob boss.
Hey,
Might
yo,
I say-
hey.
Hey, I'm walking. I'm cancelled. And yeah, that was this week's Quarter Späti. Or Market Watch. Remember, in the European elections, vote FDP.
Sorry to end on a negative note, but I really wanted to say this because I didn't last week. And I have to report on things from my German hometown of Hamburg. I did want to talk about one event that happened in Hamburg last week now, or I guess a week and a half ago or so, in the clinic, the Eppendorf Clinic. I think it's called the UKE or something. It's the University of Hamburg, their clinic. This guy was just beat the fuck up by the clinic security. He went into a coma and died a few days later. No one really knows the reason. I mean, he was a psychiatric hospital, but he wasn't committed or anything. He was just visiting the hospital. And yeah, he's a black guy from Cameroon, and it was bad. I don't point it out because of racist shit. You've just had a couple hours of learning about that in Germany, but I did want to shout out the black community in Hamburg. That's what they're called in English. Like in German, it's written in English. And the organizing they've done around it, because they really mobilized around the event, and they've been having a lot of protests and events, and it's really something coming together in Hamburg. So I wanted to shout them out. Keep up the good work. Stay strong, everybody.
Woo!
Yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for sticking around, and thank you to Ian. And
Thanks, Ian.
yeah, we'll see ya. Good night, or good day, or whatever the fuck it is.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Guten Abend.
Good to know.
so long, you're just giving yourself more.
Republika Soxia, Republika Soxia,